this computer. Okay, that's working now. All right, so you're being recorded. Is that all right?
Yeah.
And it would only be just on this Canvas site. So, talk to me about what you're wondering about or worried about, or is it doable? Because we're squishing 16 weeks into 6, and so I know I said that a bunch of times, and the estimate is something like 25 hours a week. Is that accurate, or is it turning into 50, or just what do you want to talk about? What do you want me to be aware of? That kind of stuff.
I think for me, it hasn't been too bad because I just took classes from Dort that were also, this just the 6-week thing. So I was kind of used to it already. And it's just like the same amount of work, just like 20 hours. So I haven't had too hard of a time managing it. I just have to like stay on and do it right after work and like not get lazy about it and stuff. Cause you really do fall behind quickly if you don't. But it really hasn't been too bad.
You're working full time every day.
Yes. Yeah.
And then as soon as you come home, you do your homework and you just do that every day.
Right. Yeah. Just so I can stay like caught up. And then just on breaks, just like starting to read then too, which, is good. Gives me something to do. So I'm not just sitting on my phone. So it's better.
Did you get the books ahead of time?
I did. Yeah. They came like the day the class started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You didn't get a big jump on it, but
Oh, yeah, no, not like a super huge jump. But just because I had the other classes that I was taking, so I knew I really wouldn't have time to read extra. I was doing the 2, so.
Yeah, and you probably had Intro to Philosophy, both of you, as like sophomores or something, right?
Yeah.
So learning about Plato and Aristotle wasn't brand new.
Right.
And to me, those chapters about ancient and the neo-scholasticism in the Middle Ages, those are the toughest ones, because when you're reading about behaviorism and pigeons and progressivism in education, that seems more familiar, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
So that's Knight, and everybody says that Graham goes even faster.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's an easier read, I think, so far. But
yeah, Knight is obviously a philosopher, and so he kind of writes like a philosopher. But Graham is he writes in almost a counselor tone, even though he's an education prof, or was. What he did when he retired from Covenant College in Tennessee, which is like Reformed Presbyterian or something. It's similar to us. When he retired from that education department, he went to Scotland and opened a retreat for pastors, so that they could kind of rejuvenate, because a lot of pastors are on 24/7, and so that to me seems more like almost like a counselor rather than a typical education prof. So he reads pretty fast. Okay, so you've both kept up on the discussions. We've really just had 2 so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems pretty clear what to do. When I went through discussion number 1, everybody got full credit. Everybody in the class got full credit. So everybody's got a straight A, 10 out of 10 right now. That's all that I've got graded. The worldview paper, that's probably the hardest section of the paper, but it's kind of the basis for everything else. So did you feel like that was okay?
Yeah, it was good. It was like you sit down and you're like, yeah, I know my worldview pretty well. But then you're like, wait, I have to like really think about it. And it's way bigger than what I thought it was. So like it took more time than I thought it would, but it was good in the end because it really makes you think about what your worldview is, which is important. And we should all think about that, I think.
Well, right. And, sitting in a class, even just a class of 8, but certainly 20 or 30 that I usually have, I always just look across around the room and I'm like, there are people who voted Democrat here. There are people who voted Republican. We're all being biblical, but we're coming out with totally different views of the purpose of school and the view of the teacher and the curriculum and, what it's all for. And that's okay. We're trying to make sure it's biblical. and that we're going back to that. But it's okay if, if we all kind of end up going some different places with it. Let's see, the short paper. Those short papers were the midterm exam in my semester courses. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's nothing about Graham on there, because usually the Graham book is the second half of the semester. But it's just comparing and contrasting the eras in the court cases, and then comparing and contrasting some of the isms from the Knight book. So I'm not going to be grading those as an English teacher, even though I was an English teacher. I just want to get a sense that you're able to really grapple with a couple of the isms, and, smash them against each other, and see, okay, this one talks about kind of implies the teacher is this and the curriculum is this, and this one is a little different. And, to me, that's good enough for, you do a couple of those essays, and you've shown that you're able to grasp, the differences among the isms. And plus you did all the discussion forums too. So does that make sense, or are you kind of skittish about those coming up, or what?
I think it makes sense. Yeah.
There's a lot of writing in this course, isn't there?
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty directed, and the way that you have explained the requirements are crystal clear. I have taken a couple, like, as I mentioned before, 3 other courses for my certification, and none of them have been so organized in a way where even like the word count for what the expectation has been laid out, rubrics for everything. So I think it's pretty clear what the expectations are. So it's really just up to us to just stick to the timeline.
Well, thank you. And be sure to put that in some course evaluation somewhere. No, I appreciate that. To some extent, it almost feels like if I can get all that straight ahead of time, then it almost teaches itself. And to some extent, I've had to do more of that than you would for a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, because it's always been once a week for 3 hours. So yeah, we get a lot of discussion that way, and you're just having the discussion forums with each other. But yeah, in the traditional face-to-face version of the course, I've put a lot of work into exactly that. So thank you for noticing that, Carla, and pointing that out. Yeah, and I've also tried to make it so that not that I'm expecting anybody to be tempted to plagiarize, but I'm trying to make it so that it can be individualized enough. The discussion forums, and even your opinions on some other things. So, and that's part of why I say, Rachel, not that you're going to cheat otherwise, but I really want the thinking and the applications to be relevant for you. And even though it's an education course, why not say these things apply? I mean, you're getting advanced reform thought credit for this. You don't need the education credit.
Right.
Whereas Carla is saying, okay, I didn't have this at the University of Toronto. How can I leverage this to apply to my classroom, or something like that?
For me, the tension has been, I still don't feel like I have sorted out some of my views, even though I have some experience. So for example, that article on classroom management and having a card system, I was so convicted because I've used a similar system like that before, and I never thought of how damaging it was to the student experience. So even as someone who has some teaching experience, I feel like I'm still kind of figuring out like what I'm doing here and what I'm feeling and what's my view. So that's where I am.
Yeah, and the trouble with teaching is you're just on all the time. There's no time where you go back to your office and kick up your feet and think, gee, tomorrow maybe I'll do it differently, right? I mean, you've got a stack of papers to grade. You've got, a new chapter in the book to start going through. And it just happens to all of us, no matter how smart or kind or Christian or whatever, you get in the trenches, and it's just really hard to try something different or to change your view. And if you went to a school as a student, and that's the other thing, we have all kinds of other patterns already ingrained in us because we've all been students for so many years. Whereas if you were learning to be an optometrist or something, you might have gone twice in your life or something, and your optometry school can really teach you some new techniques that you're not trying to unlearn, from something else. And in teaching, we've just been so conditioned with certain, punishments and rewards and all that kind of stuff. And it's really hard to get kids to be intrinsically motivated in their work. And in business, it actually translates totally, because we're so in the mindset that people will work harder for a higher pay. But, then some companies might pay better than everybody else, but have more turnover and wonder, well, what gives here? We pay more. So how come it's a revolving door? And I've had business majors write about that. So anyway, yeah, I love it. I didn't have a philosophy of ed class at the last Christian college that I worked at for about 20 years. So it's kind of cool to, but I've always been interested in it. So it's kind of cool to be at Dort and be the one that teaches most of the sections of this. But I think we got way off topic, or maybe this is just fun. So what you have coming up, let's see, it's the 17th. You've got the purpose section. I'm going to try to grade the worldview sections tonight. So that's due tomorrow, and then the short paper is due on Friday, and then discussion 3 on Tuesday. So, how are you feeling about everything? We're adding in the short paper. There's only 3 of them, but that kind of breaks up the Tuesday, Thursday pattern. I don't know if you've already sort of gotten into that. We try not to have stuff due on Sunday because, some people want to just kind of set that aside and take a break from life. So, what are you thinking? Questions, concerns?
Yeah, I really don't have any concerns. It's nice for me because I'm taking diversity and inequality at the same time, and everything for your class is kind of due the Tuesday, and then everything else is due later in the week for that. So that's really nice for me.
Okay.
So I am set for timeline and stuff. So it's all, and my days off are Tuesday and Wednesday from work.
Okay.
So it's ideal for me. Yeah, no complaints from the timeline or anything.
And you said you took some courses in the first 6 weeks too?
Yeah, I took leading and serving others, which was a business. It overlaid into that, and it was also Core 250, I believe. And I took another social work one that was, I forgot what it was called, but it was something with social work that also was a core class. Yeah. So.
Are you going to actually be able to graduate early with all this?
Yeah, I'll graduate a year early, which is really nice.
Oh, wow.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Save a whole year of room and board and tuition.
Exactly. That was the goal.
Way to go.
Yeah, a lot cheaper to do the summer credits instead.
Yeah.
Cool. So.
That's right. Well, your friends are out riding jet skis, and you can with that extra year to start a career, you could tell them, I'm going to buy my own jet ski.
Right. There you
Right.
go.
And that's not the purpose of getting out of school early.
No.
Anyway.
It makes me feel a little bit better about staying in and doing classwork all the time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I don't really, like I said, I don't have an agenda. I'm just available for answering questions, making sure nobody's panicking or, going off in a weird direction. But in both of your cases, you're not the traditional, education major. So if you want to, if you want to be thinking about applying things in a little different way or whatever, that's fine with me.
For me, the only thing is I've been pre-reading, which is great. And I'm trying to work ahead because I am expecting my first son at the end of August, and maybe even earlier, maybe even cutting into our course.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, at the time I registered for the course, it seemed like a good idea. And now I'm like, oh, that's cutting it really close.
You did email me about that, didn't you?
I did.
Okay.
I just thought I need to let you know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned about getting things done. I just want to make sure that I can respond to other people's questions within the time that it's supposed to happen.
And that's only what, 2 points or something like that. So out of the 10. So in the end, there's going to be like 500 points in the course. So if you miss a couple of 2 points here and there because you had a baby, I don't think you're going to miss your A.
Yeah. The other thing is I find with pre-reading, I just have to make sure when I do make comments per week, it's really related to the readings that were assigned for that particular time, because as I've been pre-reading, it's kind of getting blurred together. So that's the only thing I have to be mindful of when I do make comments or write, assignments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we probably won't have time to feel like this is getting in a rut, but when there's 16 weeks and every week they do the same kind of writing, about halfway through, we switch books, but I also tell them, if you want to start doing more creative responses, like draw a picture instead of writing a couple of paragraphs, or I don't know, make a video or find a video and talk about that. So, if any of those things, appeal to you or pop into your head, let's see. When's your baby due, Carla?
August 27th. However, at my last appointment, they said that they might want to induce me 2 weeks earlier.
Did you say August 27th or?
Yeah, August 27th.
Oh, okay. So then you should be fine, right?
Yeah.
Because the course, when is it officially over? The 15th. Well,
yeah.
I think I made the final paper due the 17th just to kind of give people an extra 2 days. For some reason, our 6-week term started on a
Friday, I think. Thursday.
Yeah. So it should end on a Wednesday, but it actually ends on a Friday. So, whatever you can do there. We can also, if necessary, if like your baby's a month early or something.
I hope not. I'm not ready.
You're looking terrified. We could do an incomplete. It's a totally legitimate thing. I know you don't want that hanging over your head, but just don't worry about it. Okay, is there anything else?
Just looking ahead, I know I emailed you about some links not being found on our course pages because of the YouTube videos that were uploaded.
Yeah.
I also saw that for week 3 or week 4? I found that. Now I know I'm going way ahead, so I'm sorry if I'm rushing you, but just heads up, I noticed some of them were not available.
Okay. Yeah, I went through and I deleted like all the old links because I usually make new PowerPoints every time. I mean, update the PowerPoints. And then I guess I deleted things I didn't realize. So somebody.
I also saw today, I was going to just kind of read over the discussion for week 2 before our meeting, and I couldn't get access to it. I could see like the number of responses, but there were no reply. Like it basically showed like I did not contribute, like I couldn't have access to the discussion posts.
That was discussion 2?
Week 2.
And when was that this happened?
Like literally the half an hour before our meeting.
Darn.
I thought maybe you were grading it. Maybe.
Yeah. And I forgot to put everybody in a group. And the assignment came over from the last time I taught this as a group assignment. And so people started contributing and I couldn't see them. So the IT person said, you gotta put them in a group. So I put everybody in a group, but I hope that didn't mess something up.
I did get an email about being added to a group.
Good old Canvas tells you instantly, your professor's working on this course again. Oh man, I hope I didn't mess everybody up because everybody had posted already for that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm seeing your posts.
Okay.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do for what I did for the first one, and I'll do for the second one, since there's only 8 people in the class, I'm just gonna do a find function and type Carla and see everything that Carla wrote, and then I'm gonna type Rachel and see everything that Rachel wrote, and say, okay, you wrote enough. Whereas it's a lot slicker if I had gotten everybody in groups before you posted, because then I just go through the speed grader and your name comes up and the rubric's right there and it shows everything that you've written all in one place. It's so cool. Yeah, I've been grading papers for 30 years and speed grader is like the coolest thing.
Now if I can only do that in my class in grade 1 too.
Yeah, exactly. Make them use Canvas.
Oh, disaster. I can see it.
I have heard of some schools where they're pretty confident every home has a computer with internet, and they're setting up like every course or every teacher has a month on ready to go in case of a blizzard or a natural disaster or an epidemic or something horrible like a school shooting where they closed the school for a few weeks. So I don't know if you've heard of that in your schools.
No,
okay.
In fact, I would say it's quite a controversial issue over the use of technology in the classroom.
In Toronto?
In Ontario.
Really?
Yeah, and there's a great divide. Like some schools, they are like very tech savvy and every class has computers. And I think it varies as well from elementary to high school. But I know in our school, we're probably going to get rid of our lab and go to some sort of cart system. But even so, the exposure that our students have to technology is quite limited, I would say. And maybe this is just a primary situation.
And that's a Christian school?
A Christian school.
Is it pretty small?
It's we're about 100 to 150 in population, K to 8. Most of our classes are single grade.
Okay. There are small private schools without a lot of resources, and some kind of far-flung public schools around the Midwest that have cart systems or something where they can't figure that every kid's going to have a computer. But the public schools here in Sioux Center, and Sioux Center is about population 7,000, so not huge, but all the kids get a Chromebook in the public school.
Wow.
And then, of course, the teachers have to figure out what to do with it. And some of them are like, put the Chromebook under your desk for this class period, and that's not the point. So, yeah, it's interesting. How about you, Rachel? What about the schools near you? Do they have computers or?
Yeah, in my high school, we had a computer lab, and like my sister, she's 4 years younger than me. I think she was like the first class where they all got Chromebooks. So like as I was like in high school, we had the cart system where when you needed them for that class period, they just rolled the cart of Chromebooks in. But now I think it's where every student has one pretty much, at least in middle school and high school for sure.
Is that a public school or a Christian school?
It was a private, Christian school.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty small. So Yeah, my graduating class had like 68. So.
And are you in the Central Valley or by Fresno or something?
I am in the Central Valley. Yeah, I went to Ripon.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I thought that when you were saying it's going to be 100 degrees.
Yeah, right. Just icky.
I'm like, okay, that's not San Francisco or.
No, not coastal. I wish.
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. California is quite a large state. Okay. I think we probably have covered everything. Sounds like you're both in good shape and you know what you're doing and you don't look scared and.
Not about the course.
What?
Not about the course.
Oh, okay. Is this your first baby?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, it's designed to go well. It's gone well for billions of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, it can be an awesome experience. Yeah, so I guess maybe I'm the most stressed out because I've got 4 weeks of overlap between my graduate curriculum class that started six weeks ago. So it's still got a couple weeks to go. I'm in my second week of overlap with the two classes now. And we have and neither of you know about this, there's one of our grad classes, the intro class, we asked them to come to campus for 1 week. So the whole program is online except for this one class has 1 week. And we have 61 people in that class this year.
Oh, wow.
So our grad program is just growing by leaps and bounds. And I don't teach that class, but I got to be here at 7:30 in the morning, having coffee with everybody and, you know, being around. And it's a good time to meet people face to face, but it's just a crazy time. So I got all those things going. So I'm glad you're not stressed out. And in 2 weeks, it's all going to feel a lot better for me. So, yeah, but let me know if you run into stuff because this is a totally different reformatting of the course from what, you know, how my Canvas pages have been set up before. And, you know, so it was finally oiled and it was humming along nicely, but then, you know, put it into 6 weeks. So I hope you're not running into any like week 10 or discussion 13 or anything like that. Everything should end at 6. But yeah, okay. I've kept you long enough. Thanks for dialing in, and we'll see on Thursday whether we get a couple more people. And you know, did this meet your need? I know Zoom meetings are different in every class. Rachel, you've had a bunch of Zoom meetings.
We actually didn't have any Zoom meetings. No,
okay.
This is the new thing, but it was really nice. It's nice
good.
to do like the face-to-face and
well, right. Otherwise, it's just a name. And it's like
an email, and you know, So I like it. So it's been good, helpful.
Great. Okay, well, I'll post this if you want to go back and look at anything else. And I think there's one person who couldn't make either meeting, so he'll probably watch this and glean some tidbits or something.
Sure.
All right. I'll say goodbye.
Bye.
Yep. Now I got to figure out how to turn it off. There it is. End meeting.